Friends, our story begins with a scene where bullets are flying, car windows are shattering, and an entire team is running for their lives. Amidst this chaos, we hear the voice of Bobby. Bobby is no ordinary lawyer, the one who taught Rachel everything she knows. But the first pawn in this story wasn't Rachel, it was another agent, Braxton. In his final call, Braxton proudly tells Bobby that he has recovered the entire debt, along with interest, from a major debtor named Salazar, and he has all the papers and signatures with him. Braxton is currently on Salazar's private island, and he only has one guy for security. Bobby warns him, but Braxton remains completely careless. Just then, a silenced gunshot is fired, and Braxton is eliminated right there on Salazar's island. The truth is that Salazar terminates the contract itself. He clearly states that if Spencer Goldstein thinks he's getting his $1 billion back, he should forget about it, and whoever he sends next will meet the exact same fate. Rachel narrates that in this line of work, the wins are massive, but losing means going straight into a hole in the ground. Her clients are asset managers, namely Spencer Goldstein, who loan out money, and when things go wrong, subcontract people like Braxton. And when the first mouse gets trapped, the second mouse gets the cheese. Here, the second mouse is Rachel herself. Next, Rachel arrives at the office of Salazar's lawyer, Horowitz, disguised as a fake investor, and directly brings up Salazar's portfolio. Horowitz calls his bodyguard Gary to throw her out, but Rachel threatens him so coldly that Gary himself backs down. Meanwhile, Bronco secretly plants a bug inside Horowitz's award, and Rachel states that if Horowitz won't talk, she will meet Salazar directly. After this, Phase 1 begins. Sid goes to Saudi Arabia, where Salazar is building a hotel in Jeddah that is larger than the approved size, 150,000 square feet instead of 130,000. Through an anonymous call, Sid tips off the authorities about this size discrepancy, construction is halted, and Salazar starts facing millions of dollars in weekly penalties. Suspicion starts growing in Salazar's camp that a woman is behind all of this. That's when Sid shows off his art of bribery. He believes that a bribe should always be given with an alibi. He lightly bumps his car into a port officer's vehicle, and under the guise of doctor and injury expenses, hands him a fat envelope. The officer gets compromised, and 20,000 tons of Salazar's steel is impounded due to paperwork issues, causing him an even bigger financial blow. The next target is the oil rig near Salazar's island. Bronco and Baker, with the help of a local fixer named Javier, infiltrate the rig and carry out a forensic sabotage, blowing a tiny fuse so the defect remains completely hidden and engineers spend months trying to find it. The result, the entire rig shuts down, and Salazar starts losing nearly $500,000 every single day. All of this makes Salazar's anger shoot through the roof, and he demands answers from his advisor, William. William tells him the truth. It's a woman whose team is incredibly clever and efficient. Salazar asks if eliminating her will solve the problem, but William says no. Rachel has already secured insurance. If she goes down, 20 prepaid lawyers will keep this case alive. William advises that making a deal with Rachel would be the cheaper option, because she is costing Salazar tens of millions every month. At the same time, he reassures him that the real juicy money is still out of Rachel's reach, because it is controlled by one man, Wolfgang Close, a Harvard-educated German-Arab accountant who hides Salazar's money under layers of shell companies from Jeddah. But Rachel has already hatched a cunning plan. She knows that Wolfgang has a deep obsession with antique sculptures and the game of backgammon. At a party, her guy keeps winning with loaded dice, but constantly refuses to take the payouts. Because nothing attracts a financier more than a man who turns down money. Ultimately, he gifts Wolfgang a statue that Wolfgang desperately wanted. Friends, this statue is the real trick. A bug, a camera, and a hacking device are hidden inside it. Wolfgang's office is a Faraday cage where no data can leak out, but now their Trojan statue has made its way right next to his computer. Slowly, Rachel's team connects the names to the shell companies, Salazar's financial web begins to unravel, and Rachel starts securing freezing orders from the court on his hidden assets. Then begins Phase 2, planning and preparation. Bronco preps his entire team, which he calls Rachel's insurance policy. Baker handles explosives, Moreno takes ground transport, Dunn manages aviation, and Gucci handles the tech. Fixer Javier gets them a full shopping list of gear and vehicles, and the team sets up a safe house in the most remote part of Salazar's island, a place with access to 3 different escape evac routes and old tunnels, so that Rachel can be sneaked out if needed. Now the team rehearses with all their might because this is Salazar's island and they are outnumbered 10-1. 3 escape routes are memorized. The North evac, from where gyrocopters can take Rachel to the mainland the fastest. The East evac, where vehicles are taken through the city and storm drains to a boat, and the West evac, which is the last resort, where a 300-foot deep ravine has to be crossed either by jumping a bike or using a zipline. Moreno practices trapping police cars, and a banana pie trap is prepared where enemy vehicles will fall into a hidden pit. Next, the team works on planting ears in Salazar's penthouse, and this is only possible as long as Salazar doesn't know they are on the island. Bronco fakes a heart attack in the hotel lobby to distract the manager and swipe his master key, while Gucci disables the cameras. Meanwhile, a listening device is planted in the penthouse. At the same time, they attach engine killers under the police cars and thoroughly study the nearby police station, so that if anyone ever gets caught, breaking them out would be possible. Then Rachel makes it even more personal and takes away Salazar's toys. Through the court, she gets his private jet grounded under international law and has his boat impounded under maritime law. For the first time in 15 years, Salazar travels in a jet that isn't his, and he gets so furious that he drops the court battles and agrees to meet Rachel face to face on the island himself. Before the meeting, Sid gives Rachel a watch with a hidden tracker inside. If she presses the button, Sid will find her from anywhere in the world. This is their insurance, because mistakes can happen at any time. Using a drone, the team also spots Salazar's red-bearded head of security, and thus begins Phase 3, the face-to-face sit-down with the enemy. At the meeting, Salazar first offers $350 and then $400 million, but Rachel flatly refuses, because the full debt is $1 billion. Salazar warns her that she has crossed the line and should take what's on the table and walk away, but Rachel doesn't budge. She needs more leverage right now, because to bring Salazar to his knees, more of his secrets need to be exposed. Just then, Rachel plays another trick. She stops at a cafe to grab a beer, and this is her trap. Salazar sends about 14 men after her, but Bronco's team is already prepared. They take down all the attackers one by one, both inside and outside the cafe, and safely extract Rachel without a single scratch, comfortably returning to the villa. This failed attack becomes a massive headache for Salazar. He realizes that the attempt to eliminate Rachel has left him legally exposed. Now everything against him is out in the open. In a panic, Wolfgang starts shifting his major assets around, and this very mistake brings Salazar down. Rachel's team, her analyst Glover and her lawyers, connects those shifting assets to Salazar's hidden companies and starts freezing and seizing them one by one. Primo Star Telecom, Skysil, Archon, all these companies shut down. Salazar's money starts drying up rapidly. Seeing the growing danger, Bronco gives his team a chance to walk away, but the entire team stands their ground with Rachel. Now Rachel holds all of Salazar's secrets, and she plays her final card. She tells Salazar point blank that he either pays back the full $1 billion and returns everything, or she will dig up all his hidden skeletons and hand over their locations to every investor Salazar has scammed in the past. And then they won't just come for $1 billion, they'll come for $5 billion. Salazar breaks down and agrees to pay the money. In a fit of rage, he fires his advisor, William. The deal is done, and Goldstein's infamous red phone rings. Bobby gets congratulated for choosing the right agent. Rachel clearly states that, as per the contract, the jet and boat must also be returned. But then comes another twist. After extracting the money from Salazar, Goldstein and Bobby themselves start making excuses to avoid paying Rachel her rightful fees. For Rachel, this proves to be a tougher game than dealing with Salazar. And then comes the big twist. Salazar's men raid one of Rachel's isolated remote safe houses. Her own people stationed there, Rashid and Shireen, are taken out, and Rachel is captured alive. Meanwhile, Bronco and Sid march straight into the office of one of Goldstein's top executives and tell him that Salazar has abducted Rachel. The exec makes excuses, claiming the situation is being handled, that the ministry, State Department, and Spanish police are all on it. But in reality, he isn't doing a single thing. Bronco and Sid tell him in no uncertain terms that it's time to pay his debts. Holding Rachel hostage on his island, Salazar threatens her, saying that if the money doesn't arrive, a very gruesome message will be sent piece by piece directly to the New York office. But Rachel calmly explains that this threat is useless. Goldstein manages trillions. To them, Rachel is nothing more than a hot dog stand, and they haven't even paid her own money yet. Salazar reminds her that this is his island, his police, his law. Nobody is coming to save her here. But Rachel's boys aren't the type to give up. The tracker Sid gave her confirms that Rachel is being held captive in that very police station. Salazar has beefed up security, yet the team launches a rescue mission right at the time of the shift change. They storm the station, but when escaping through the front doors becomes impossible, Baker blows up the back wall, and Rachel is pulled out to safety. Everyone jumps into the vehicles and speeds toward the airfield, where the gyrocopters are waiting for them. That's when disaster strikes. A drone strike at the airfield takes down Dunn, and their fastest escape plan is completely destroyed. Left with no choice, the team pivots to their last resort, the West Evac. They lure the pursuing vehicles into their custom-built trap, which actually fails for a brief moment, forcing them to fight their way back to the villa. The final battle takes place at the villa. Facing off against nearly 70 enemies, the team draws them in close and takes them down using zip lines, ATVs, and strategically placed explosives to halt their advance. Sid gets injured in this crossfire but manages to survive. Bronco repeatedly orders Baker to fall back, but Baker stays put, because someone needs to stay behind to trigger the explosives and provide cover for the team. And in this heroic effort, Baker sacrifices himself. The battered team finally gets Rachel to a boat and manages to extract her safely from the island. And now comes the final twist. Alive and free, Rachel settles the score face-to-face with Bobby. She tells him that he crossed the line. He got greedy even after getting Rachel's problem solved, so now Sid and Bronco are going to handle this their own way. Someone will have to pay the price, but it won't be Rachel. By then, news breaks that Salazar has vanished. Nobody knows where he is. The truth is that Salazar wasn't eliminated. Instead, Rachel's side has turned him into a protected witness, living under the new alias Mr. Smith in Miami. Now he can provide state evidence against Spencer Goldstein, proving that Goldstein was funding a criminal organization. This means the real power is now entirely in Rachel's hands. As long as that red phone doesn't ring, Bobby is safe. The film ends with Rachel's ice-cold "Love you, Bobby," a woman who just flipped the entire board. Friends, this movie teaches us that in this world of money, the most dangerous predator isn't the one who screams the loudest, but the one who plays the longest game and coldly thrives on that gray line where right and wrong become blurred. So what do you guys think? Was Rachel a true hero, or just another cunning player who turned out to be better than everyone else? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.